How's it going? Hope you can hear me and see me all right. It's good to be here. Always a pleasure to connect with everyone that is here today and generally the Cardano Foundation itself as well. So good to chat and jump on. I'm obviously Zushan, founder of Danketsu, which of course is a Web3 multimedia project on Cardano, and also one of the co-founders of Tokyo, which is an upcoming Cardano wallet. But of course, this is very much to do with Danketsu and what we've got going on. Perhaps you've heard, maybe you haven't, and that's why I'm here. So look, I'll get straight into it. I'll share my screen and we can kind of start running through what it is that I've got going on. And we as a team have been working on over the past few months and years, rather. So yeah, let's get straight into it. Now, I have shared my screen, so I guess you can see that. Yep, it does show that it's popping up. Perfect. Okay, so we'll keep it straightforward and kind of go through everything that we're doing. So as I mentioned, Danketsu and the focus for us as of late has been the onboarding of or on-ramping rather of people into Cardano through the creation of physical or phygital toys. And prior to doing this, of course, we've done a range of different things which have worked towards who we are and what we're doing. So I'll start off there. What is Danketsu, for those of you that don't know? Essentially a multimedia entertainment company that leverages multiple blockchains and Web3. Lots of buzzwords there. What does that exactly mean? So very simply, back in 2021, Danketsu launched as what you would predominantly call an NFT project. And the premise of this NFT project was to bridge the gap between a form of multimedia. So as an example, let's take film and its audiences or its fans. And the beauty of blockchain and all of this has always been that it allows a multitude of different avenues for the audience or what you might call the community to jump in and be directly involved with what is being built out by their favorite intellectual properties, by their favorite pop culture, films, music, comic books, and whatever so it might be. So the very fundamental idea was you buy an NFT. What this NFT allows you to do is make decisions on the direction of the story in the form of comics and books. From there, it evolved into incorporating music, light novels, text-based gaming, and much, much more. So to give you context, this is, some of the Danketsu music that you can find on Spotify. If you go into some other platforms like Apple Music, and you actually go and search up the credits for these songs, you'll come across multiple people, 20, 30, 40 people, and these are actually community members on the Web3 side of things who have helped create these songs, whether that's, participating through musical instruments, writing the lyrics, recording harmonies in the background, so on and so forth. Up until now, the only real sort of mainstream examples of this sort of community interaction that we can see is from, popular reality TV shows like The Voice, or let's say previously, the American Idol series, and all the different all the other ones that you find in other countries, and so on and so forth. However, through Web3, not only and through blockchain, and in this instance specifically through Cardano, not only has the community been able to enjoy this music, they've been a part of it. They've helped write the lyrics, they've helped pick the genre, they've worked with the artist, they've helped decide who the artist is, all the way to the final part of the process, which is the release of the music itself. Then, of course, I talked a little bit about gaming. So we have a fully functional text-based game, idle game, that runs on multiple blockchains. The beauty of this, again, is that because it's text-based, the community can come in and be co-creators. Then the third and perhaps, most relevant part to it all is this, which is physical comics, where the creation of these comics was not made by 1, 5, or 10 individuals. It was made by hundreds who came in, voted on the story, voted on different paths. The best example of this that I always think of is if you've ever watched Black Mirror Bandersnatch on Netflix, where you get to decide where the story is going to go. That is predominantly what this is about. And this is what we've been able to create when it comes to Web3, and when it comes to overarchingly multimedia integration with the blockchain. So that's the beauty of how you can leverage communities in Web3, and how you can utilize the technology, of course, in this instance, that Cardano provides to create physical products and take these products out into the wider public, or quote unquote, the mainstream, right? So we've had the pleasure of selling out, hundreds of these comic books at multiple Comic Cons in Australia, without the buyer even knowing that they were essentially created through leveraging blockchain technology, and not created by just 1 or 5 or 10 people, but as I said, hundreds of people rather. So that is, in my opinion, one of the most unique things that Web3, blockchain, crypto, NFTs offer in terms of onboarding and direct interaction. If you look at the multimedia industry, the only gap that exists at this point is community members or audiences not being able to directly engage with the people that are making these comics, these movies, this music. But then to add to that, it's also the people who are doing more. So what I mean by that is, you have the community, or you have the audience that gets to watch or listen or read and appreciate, film, comics, music, but they don't have that one missing layer, which is direct involvement. And that's what we've set out to do with Danketsu from the very start. So I'll go back to my slide now, and just to continue to present this to you. So I sort of touched on this. Audiences lack direct access to the creation of and participation in their favorite entertainment mediums. So the basic idea is always, if you look at your favorite comic book superhero, let's take Spider-Man, he's very popular. Spider-Man, people love the idea of Peter Parker, an everyday average kid from Queens in New York, who gets bitten by a radioactive spider, and that suddenly takes the common young man and puts him on this platform that makes him incredibly uh, important and incredibly significant to things happening initially just in New York and then globally. So that's an amazing way to connect with every other, teenager who wants to do something bigger. But what if you could take that same premise and give the opportunity to those teenagers to participate directly in the decisions that Peter Parker makes as he continues to grow as Spider-Man? And that's what we have fundamentally done with our comics, our music, and everything else. And blockchain, of course, solves this because one of the things that we come across that is very rampant in relation to the example that I previously used, which is the voice, is you can easily cheat the system and get multiple votes in if you know how to do it right. Interestingly, I was watching a small documentary about Who Wants to Be a Millionaire the other day, and how essentially there was this whole syndicate that gamed the whole system through multiple different means. And when you have a public ledger where all of this decision making can take place and tracked, that doesn't happen. So that's what we've set out to do and what we've delivered over a very, very long time. Then, of course, there's also on-chain voting, which is, self-explanatory, decision making as well, and then direct participation, which I think is one of, if not the most unique factors and benefits that we have of people coming into Web3 and people participating in a lot of this day-to-day means of engagement. So it's a really fantastic avenue and platform through which you can expand on your multimedia deliverables and what you set out to do. But the question remains, right? Is that sufficient enough to onboard the very same people who want to see Peter Parker become the strongest possible Spider-Man ever? Personally, I don't think so. And the reason for that is explaining all of this to the ordinary person is very, very complicated. You certainly need to have sufficient time. You need to have an interest, because without that, it just isn't possible for you to even go in and explore this side of the world, right? When we talk about Web3, a lot of us are heavily involved in it, but in the grander scheme of things, it's a very, very small percentage of the global population. And on top of that, if you remove then the people who are in it solely with the focus of flipping, fungible and non-fungible tokens, that becomes almost a niche within a niche. So there is a big educational play around it, and there is a big opportunity to onboard a larger group of people from a wider audience without actually having the need to educate them and provide them with the knowledge around, these amongst multiple other unique blockchain features that we come across. And that's where the toy deal comes in that Danketsu has recently signed. right? And I think this is a really, really interesting and rather unique avenue that we're pursuing and have been quite fortunate to be able to pursue. I should say that I don't believe that it's easy to get to this point, and I don't want to take any credit away from my incredible team who have put in uh years essentially into making this happen. But to run you through it, we've signed a deal with North America's largest licensor for toys and apparel. They have licensed partners like Star Wars, Disney, um, Naruto, Dragon Ball Z, Where is Wally, NASA, Major League Baseball, you name it. And what they essentially do is they become the licensor of these brands that are obviously doing multiple other things, right? And they will then go on to do everything from working with these companies to create a or what you would call model a piece of merch or a toy, uh, and then they will mold it, they will manufacture it, they will handle the packaging, and they will manage the distribution. And then they have retail partners as well. Uh, in North America, of course, Walmart, Costco, Target, Macy's, Amazon, and multiple others, which is pretty amazing because it's almost like an A to Z service that they provide, except they do it with the biggest global multimedia and entertainment brands in the world. So that is extremely unique and definitely very, very new to Web3. And for me personally, when we look at NFTs and we look at onboarding, very frankly, I'm not of the belief, and we're seeing more and more people agree with me on this, and I think sentiment uh is definitely moving towards this overarchingly, uh that what you call quote unquote profile picture NFTs are simply not sufficient enough as a product to onboard anybody because they're based off a speculative nature that essentially only does one thing. And what is that exactly? Well, it allows people to trade these images online in the hope that they will make money, and more often than not, they will not. So, how does that attract somebody who has never been involved in this industry to come in and say, well, I want to, suddenly start buying and selling mushroom pictures online using a blockchain? Well, yes, money is really solely the only incentive. And in my honest opinion, that is very, very problematic. So how do you take that further? And that's where I would like to say, struck pretty close to gold with what we've been able to create and what we are working towards in the next few weeks. So that is this toy deal. And it is one of the easiest ways to onboard people into Web3. And simultaneously allowing more exposure to Web3, blockchain, and in this case, Cardano, to enter the mainstream. How is that done exactly? So now I'm going to go to a thread on X that we put up a while ago. So you can see this. Yes, you can. Perfect. Okay, so this I sort of mentioned. We've got two characters, Bobo and Shumi. And these are the first two toys of Danketsu that will be produced as physicals via this partnership. What does that mean though? So to kick off, the plushies will be available to purchase in the next few weeks. And each plushie will feature a free mintable NFT. Now, what that means is when you buy a Bobo plushie, you receive the doll, you unbox the doll. Within the packaging is a QR code. You scan that QR code, and it takes you to a new wallet created by Endmaker, which I think might be its first launch will probably be with these toys. And it's a wallet that makes it so simplistic. You don't need to know what a seed phrase is. You don't need to know how a wallet works. You don't need to know what the purpose of all of this is. All you know is that you are receiving a free digital collectible by scanning this QR code and clicking get your free digital collectible now. But once you do that, you get a whole list of information around what is blockchain, what is Cardano, what is the easiest way for me to get involved, what can I do with this digital collectible, how do I trade this digital collectible, do I receive real money for this digital collectible, what's the purpose of this digital collectible, where can I see it outside of this wallet, and how. So there's a whole educational piece that comes alongside this. And I think that is imperative, in my opinion, to sort of making a move of this nature, right? Because what's the point of working in the Web3 space for 2.5 to 3 years, building this out, and then to just take it away from Web3 and move completely down the path of non Web3 sort of standardized participation, right? To put it simply. So that's one of the key things that we'll be doing, and fundamentally these NFTs will be certificates of authenticity. So you will be able to buy this toy, buy this plushie, and you get this NFT. There will be two types, one which is Shroomy, one which is Bobo. Both of them made by, Cardano's very own amazing, incredible Brazilian artist, Victor War, who we've had the pleasure of working with on two Danketsu collections now and multiple one-of-one pieces. And these will allow you to just have a digital collectible. But does that mean that they will not have some sort of utility further down the line? No. There definitely is a play on that front. And yeah, just stay tuned. But a big focus for us at Danketsu is to utilize this toy deal to build on-ramping into Web3 and particularly Cardano through the exposure that these toys give to our brand, and then naturally the ecosystems or the blockchains that we're on as a business. So that's essentially what this toy deal is about. And how it's going to work is we have a few more announcements over the next 3 or 4 weeks in relation to the toy deal, a couple of partnerships that will help elevate what we're doing even further. And then we will have an online sale of these toys in collaboration with our partners. And you will essentially be able to, you essentially can be one of the first people to get your hands on these toys. So yeah, that is where we're going to be. Now, the next question and something that we come across a lot is how does this benefit holders, right? Because obviously you're providing value to people who are going to shop at their local retailer. Let's say, I live in Kansas City and I'm headed to Walmart with my 2-year-old daughter, and she sees True as a toy in the plushies aisle and wants to pick True up for $20. That's amazing. And, once she takes it home, opens it up, she gets a little QR code, which I would then probably scan and check out and get this digital collectible for. She's 2 years old. She doesn't really understand it, but I do. And maybe that's how I might have some spare time that evening after I put her to sleep. And I decide, hey, let me actually look into what all of this digital collectible shenanigans are about. And that's all great. But we obviously have an existing community of holders, of community members, of contributors, people who are participating in what we're building. How does this benefit them? So exclusive license agreements with the holders of the NFTs. And what I mean by that is summarized beautifully in this thread. So all Danketsu NFT holders are granted commercial rights of their NFTs. What this means is that NFT holders are given IP rights to the specific NFTs that they hold, and they're free to use them in whatever shape or form possible, commercially, as long as it, doesn't get to perhaps an NSFW sort of realm, because that of course can overarchingly affect our brand negatively. And all of this can be found on danketsu.io/terms and can IP agreement. There we go. IP agreement. Yeah. So you can head to that link to read through all the details. But basically, you can take your Danketsu NFT and you can make 5,000 t-shirts with an NFC chip that allows you to mint a variation of that character on the Cardano blockchain using your NFT and make money off of that if you want to. If you want to do something more creative, you can do that too. We have community members at the moment, two at least, who are making comic books using their characters. One who is making a card game, one who is making an animated series, a bunch of others who are writing books. So you've essentially given the rights of creativity, leveraging all that you have developed to the people that have kind of supported you throughout this journey. And that's always been fundamental to us, which is why we decided to go down this path, right? So one of the key things, obviously, that you can't do is use our name or branding directly, unless, of course, you want us to get involved. So you could, let's say, sell a specific NFT that you hold, but it wouldn't say Danketsu on it, even though it was an NFT created by Danketsu. However, that's not the only thing, right? The beauty in this is what I come to next. And that is the signing of, or to put it in a very basic context, royalties for holders. But that is a very simplified way of stating what it is that, we are going to be doing. So how can NFT IP be utilized by connecting the Web3 side of it with the Web2 side of it, right? Now, let's look at this NFT. This is one of our NFTs. This is the only NFT of our Shroomy character, who you can see here, is one of the toys. The owner of this NFT has full commercial usage rights for the IP of this NFT. And we are obviously going to be using this NFT as a toy. But we aren't necessarily the owners of the IP. So we essentially play what you would call a quote unquote middleman or middle person, who will then sign an exclusive licensor agreement with the, or in this case, we've already signed with the owner of this NFT. And they will receive a percentage of the royalties that we earn from every physical version of this character that is sold as a toy, as a merch item, featuring in the comic books, or anything else of that nature. So we are building out a Web3 platform, which will allow you to submit your NFTs to become the next toy, to feature in the comic book that we get into the big mass retail comic book stores, to make a figurine out of that isn't a plushie, but a more specialty, more teenager-focused toy that can be kept as a collectible. The onus of it is now in your hands. You have the ability to decide, and you have the ability to empower yourself by making your NFT such a famous or such a popular brand that we would essentially go onto this platform to sign an IP agreement, licensing agreement with you, and we see that you have a character. Let's say you have this character here, as an NFT, and his branding is so popular already because you have been creating t-shirts with him, you have been creating comic books with him, he's been featured on as your PFP, and you've amassed a following of 40,000 people on X, where we go, well, we don't really have a choice. Our retail partners already know that if we bring them a character or a product that has been tested amongst a quote unquote sample audience, right, which is a community, and has succeeded in that trial, then it's a no-brainer that we expect it to work when we put it onto retail stores. So that is the next evolution of this. And I think it's going to be an incredible way to further build that interoperability between the Web 2 and the Web 3 side of things, and open up access to several people, both outside of this industry that we work in and within this industry that we work in. And last but not least, how do I get involved? Keep an eye out for, the plushies and when they'll be going live. It's going to kick off with an online sale. You will be able to obviously pay in ADA. You will also be able to pay in fiat, and in a bunch of other cryptocurrencies as well. There is going to be a bunch of cool other things that will come out from this, in relation to Web let's call it Web 2.5, like Web 3 and Web 2 integration. So stay tuned. Keep an eye out. We're doing a lot of spaces and interviews. You can find a few dozen up and available at the moment that I've been speaking on. Obviously share this video when it goes live on YouTube with all your friends, and tell them to go support Cardano getting into Walmart or something of that nature. That's a win for all of us. And I can see that we have a bunch of questions in the Q&A. So I'll sort of answer all those questions from here. And of course, if you have any other questions, feel free to ask away in the Q&A chat. So Jack Jones. Hey, Jack, how's it going, mate? Good to see you here. I'm thrilled about your partnership. How will your partner help leverage Cardano's unique features in your products? Yeah, look, great question, mate. I have sort of touched on it, but I'll expand a little bit. First and foremost, we'll kick things off with an online sale, which will kind of run in perpetuity after that. So you'll always be able to buy from the online store, and that'll be an easy access point for somebody who's initially not in North America to buy the toys. But straight off the bat, you'll be able to buy these plushies using ADA. So that's the first thing. The second thing, of course, is utilizing some of the amazing tech that's been built out by Endmaker, where you have a wallet that's so simple that you don't even need to know what a wallet is. But you will essentially be onboarded to the blockchain as a first-time, user of Cardano and of the blockchain in general when you decide to scan the QR code and mint the digital collectible. So those are a couple of things. There are a couple of other things that we haven't announced publicly yet, but I think they'll be pretty exciting once we do. And that should be over the next couple of weeks. And I think that's going to tap into some of the more specific uniqueness of Cardano, which I'd love to address in like a future Twitter space or anything of that nature. So hopefully that answers what you asked. Then we have an anonymous attendee. From a traditional retail perspective, how do you envision blockchain technology, particularly through your partnership with retailer, enhancing the customer retail experience? Mate, the opportunities are endless, right? Imagine receiving this digital collectible, going onto an app or a website from the same phone that you use to scan the QR code that I was talking about earlier, and participating in some sort of digital experience where everything is tracked. You can communicate with others. Nobody can directly get ahead of you in that digital experience because everything is available on the public ledger, because everything is being done on chain, or at least most of it is being done on chain. And I think I don't know if I can get these questions up. I think if I pick answer live, it shows up, but okay. I have tried that, I just realized. But that's one part of it, right? The other part of it, and there's only really one example across any blockchain in Web3, and that's Pudgy Penguins, right? And they've done an incredible job, huge NFT project on Ethereum. And they've done, almost 15 to 18 million dollars in toy sales in the last 7 to 8 months with their deal with Walmart. And personally, I think that they've underutilized the digital or sort of the Web3 interoperability aspect of it. Because you go in and they have this digital experience where you can get your Pudgy and you get one of 5 skins and you're in this open world and you can play one of a few games like an endless runner and something else, and that's it. But what if you were to have it all on blockchain and make it into something that's a lot vaster and bigger? And I think the beauty of, generally project leads, not just myself specifically, but project leads on Cardano in general, is that we're often very focused on building things out and doing it right. It's not always about how do we maximize this to bring us more money in the short term with um, you know, a semi or a half-baked product. And that's what this is going to open the doors up for us to do, and hopefully other businesses on the blockchain as well. So taking a lot of those traditional digital experiences and moving them into the Web3 side of things not only makes all of it easier, smoother, and fairer in a way, if done right, but it also provides that educational and on-ramping sort of piece. So again, this sort of ties in with the last question. There's a lot that we have still to announce, so stay tuned. But look, thank you for the question. How does your collaboration help in promoting local cultures, especially with your focus on the APAC market? Yeah, look, that's a great question, right? I mean, I'm in Australia, and when Pudgy Penguins got to Walmart, a month after that, I saw them at Big W here in Australia. There, you can go to Malaysia and you can find them in Bukit Bintang in Kuala Lumpur in, some of those big toy trolleys. I was in Dubai earlier this year. I found them at stores over there. Um, with Danketsu, right? And local cultures, there is a lot of opportunity on the educational side that we can do and utilize with these characters, right? A lot of people have told me they see Bobo being an incredible way to teach children their alphabet through short animated clips. And once the children have built a relationship with that character in the form of a plushie, they feel more inclined to connect and listen to what Bobo the ninja doll has to say when explaining mathematics. And the sky is the limit, right? Obviously, if we see this, we definitely see a big part of our brand having a stronghold in the APAC region. I mean, I live in the wider APAC region. I originally am from the wider APAC region, so it makes a lot of sense to me personally. A lot of our team are in the APAC region. But when it comes to cute toys and collectibles, there's no doubt that when you look specifically at Southeast Asia, there is a huge market there. And we've seen with the success of Pudgy Penguins how much further that can be taken. So once that happens and once we get there, right, I there's nothing stopping us from really pushing forward on that front. So if you are to go and buy Shroomy dolls in South Korea and Seoul, then what's to say that we don't start teaching the alphabet with Shroomy in Korean to further add to the value around those toys and more integrational opportunities. So yeah, thanks for that question. We'll come back to this one. Jack Jones. Are the plushies available for a global audience, or is it US specific only? So the online store will be available for a few, like 100 something plus countries. So you'll be able to buy online from the store. in 5 different cryptocurrencies, including ADA, and of course, fiat credit card. Initially, following the online sale, we will start talking to retailers, and those retailers will be based in North America. However, if we are able to achieve sort of what they expect from us, it will start branching out to other countries. And obviously, there are some countries where it'll go to first. So I think after North America, Pudgy Penguins came to Australia, the UK, New Zealand, but now it's in, at least a dozen countries around the world in retail stores. So it really depends, but I think the beauty of having it online as well is that you can basically have it shipped to your doorstep. Uh, and the Web3 side of it gets to do it pretty soon before all the retail stuff kicks in. So that should be kicking off in a few weeks. Anonymous attendee, considering the rapid evolution of the retail and blockchain industries, how does the partnership position Danketsu at the forefront of these changes? Oh man, you're asking me the good questions, aren't you? So now look, I think it's a very valid point, right? And um for us at Danketsu, it's always been about shutting off the noise and focusing on the long-term play. When we started making community-driven comic books, we always knew that it's not going to be the catalyst to result in, the 20x of our floor prices. And we always made that clear. What we instead said is, this is the fundamental basis of setting something up much bigger in terms of intellectual property creation and a larger universe, and taking it to the mainstream when the time is right. Now, in a way, us being at the forefront of this means that not only do we get or strengthen our ties with retailers and strengthen our ties with these other companies, but remember what I said earlier, right? Some of these license partners that they have include brands like Disney, include brands like NASA, Amazon, and so many others. You can go check on their website, right? And the beauty of that is we're not just stopping at plushies. I'm not saying it's happening tomorrow, but we're having conversations about comic books in comic book stores, light novels in bookstores, graphic novels in bookstores, and leveraging their relationships with, your Disneys and your Amazons and so on, to get to what we promised from the fundamental start of what we set out to do at Danketsu, which is to get an animated series which was predominantly not predominantly, but rather significantly created by a vast number of people who interacted in a through the Cardano blockchain and in a Discord server many years ago. And that's what this sets us up for, right? And the key differentiator for us with any other project that is looking to do this or is doing it already is we already have all of this stuff ready to go. It's just sitting in the background. You can go on our website and read, 700 pages of book, comic, and whatever it is. You can listen to our music. You can read a whole script, so on and so forth. So it's not even about let's start off from scratch which is one of the reasons why this market is great for plushies if you have the right characters, because you've already tested it within an existing sample group. All right, we've got 4 more questions and I have 10 minutes, so let me try and get through these pretty quickly. Chris. Chris is amazing. He is my co-host in a weekly Twitter space that we do starting in 10 minutes, so jump in. Will you be shipping worldwide? Yeah, mate. So I mean, maybe not every single country, but there's 100 plus countries that we will be shipping to. Um, yes, these toys will definitely be available. Well, I hope that by Christmas they'll be available in Walmart in the US and Big W in Australia. So 100% the online toys will be available before within the next couple of months at the latest. We're really, really close. Anonymous attendee. Can you discuss any specific tools or services on Cardano that have facilitated the collaboration, as you mentioned, Endmaker and their wallet? Well, just Endmaker, who didn't really facilitate it, rather we brought them on. So no one has helped us with this on Cardano. This is just it's from our team networking and building the right relationships and connects to kind of get to this point. And in terms of tools and services, there are a couple of other businesses that are Cardano related that we will be partnering with in relation to the toys. We just haven't announced that yet. So yes, we do have a couple of partners from Cardano besides Endmaker, but none who have helped us get this toy deal or anything of that sort. It's solely been the team and their hard work and the networking that we've all done. And I spent 4 months in the Gulf earlier this year, and that was great because I linked up with a lot of people, which also resulted in this deal. Harrison, would it be a problem if I create my own tangible collectible based on my NFT and decide to sell it? No. So it would obviously have to be a conversation between us, yourself, and the partners. If, let's say, you had an NFT and you decided to sell it as a variated version, as a collectible of some nature or a physical item, it would be on a case-by-case basis, and that's why we sign these exclusive licensor agreements individually. Sure, there will be a platform to do it. There will be a smart contract that manages all of it, but it will really be on a case-by-case basis. So what sort of tangible collectible is it? Is your tangible collectible going into retail stores? So there are lots of questions that will be asked and addressed, and then depending on that, it'll be determined. So I hope that answers it, mate. Aaron. Hey, Aaron, how's it going, mate? If Bobo and Shumi are successful, will other community creations be able to follow suit? Yeah, great question. Of course. And yeah, a lot of people don't know this, but Bobo as a character was actually created by Aaron Ortiz, who is, the one asking this question. And Aaron actually he's in the medical field, and he got a patient of his to knit a doll. And this doll was then, the name of this doll was voted on by community members and determined by the number of NFTs you held. So again, a use case of how we integrated or leveraged blockchain technology. And that's how it got the name Bobo. And it was only after that that it featured as a companion in our NFTs. And following that, it obviously became our mascot, and now it's becoming a toy. And soon, hopefully, we'll see it in some big retailers, where A community created character will be in large retailers globally. That's the purest of Web3 stories, in my opinion, and I think of it a fantastic one. So yeah, 100% mate. Of course, the key focus will be on the existing community creations within the NFTs. But that's not to say that there aren't opportunities for something if it's exciting and interesting enough. And I think those are all the questions. Yep. Someone asked in the chat, do we get a Shaz toy replica? Nah, mate. Look, if we get into Walmart, I will I will get a Bobo costume and rock up at the Cardano summit in Dubai. If we're in Walmart at that time. And I will walk around as Bobo at the Cardano summit, at least for a while. So I've said it here and I've said it live. So although you won't get a toy, you will get to have me in a Bobo outfit at the Cardano summit in October. So look, thank you everybody. Thank you to the Cardano Foundation for obviously letting us come on and share what we're how we're onboarding people into Web3 through this physicals deal. And we're super, super excited. You know, share this conversation when it's on YouTube with your friends. Come out and support us on the toy deal. Stay tuned for some amazing announcements that we have coming up on this front, with including the Cardano Foundation, and then some other partnerships around the toy deal as well. And yeah, go join in the fun when the toy deal goes live. Thank you all for tuning in. And if you have any questions, DM me on X, or hit me up on any other platform that I'm on. And I'm always happy to take a call or answer any questions. So big shout out to you all and to the Cardano Foundation. And thank you very much.